Yes, you can make a beautiful painting just like this. Right now, I'm going to be mixing our paint. I'll have the recipe for you in just a moment. Be sure to screenshot that, or you can pause and write it down. But I'm adding medium body acrylic paint to my cup. 9 milliliters, and I think I go slightly over, but that's okay. And next I'm going to add some water at 7 milliliters, and I may go over that too, I think, but that's okay. But I'll tear out the scale to go to 0 and measure my water. And then I'm going to mix those two before I add my Floetrol. It just helps the final mixing process to go ahead and mix it with the water. Next, I'm going to add American Floetrol. And you can get this, if you're in the States, at any home improvement store. The large box stores or some of the smaller local stores will have it as well. But I'm adding 43 milliliters, and this one is close, but slightly over, and it's still okay. It's very important to thoroughly mix your paint, water, and Floetrol together. So it takes me just a little while, but I scrape the sides and I make sure everything is scraped up off the bottom. When you think you're done, go ahead and mix a little bit more. It's very, very important to have this mixture completely incorporated. Once you've mixed everything thoroughly, you want to check the consistency. And you notice I'll pull the stick out of the paint and let it drizzle off the end of the stick. It should resemble warm honey, or if you look at the paint itself, it creates a very small mound and then quickly absorbs into the body of the paint. You'll want to screenshot this. Now I'm ready to paint. Notice I now have on gloves, and I have an empty cup that I can start layering my paint. And I'm very intentional with the colors and the layers. That is a dark turquoise, followed by pewter, then a light turquoise. Next is the Dyke Brown that we just mixed. And lastly, we'll add bronze. I did not layer the two metallics side by side. They are in between matte color finishes. So I continue the layering process until I have enough paint in my cup to cover my canvas. As I'm layering, I do want to mention that it's important to use protective gear like a drop cloth on your table, the silicone mat. I'm wearing an apron and gloves. So those are always handy to have when you're working with a messy project like this. Next, we prepare the canvas. I'm putting some old mixing cups underneath it just to raise it off the surface of the silicone mat. I place my canvas on the cups, and then, this is the important part, you check to make sure that it's level. Bubble is in the middle, and then the other direction, the bubble is in the middle. So we are good to go. At this point, I'm trying to determine the kind of pour that I'm going to do. And I'm going to go with a ring pour. To assist the paint in reaching the edge of the canvas, I'm going to pour a light ring of white paint on the outside of my ring pour. And then I'll pour my paint inside that circle. Now it's time to pour the beautiful colors. You can pour from the outside in, the inside out. It doesn't matter what direction. It's whatever your choice is. Either way will turn out beautiful. Now it's time to have some fun. I'm going to tilt the paint towards the edge of the canvas. And I want to bring the design back to the center of the canvas as much as possible when I first start the process. It keeps the design a little bit more intact, and then you can manipulate it more after you've stretched to the end of the canvas. You just continue to tilt the canvas until you find the composition that you like and the paint has reached all the corners and edges of the canvas. Almost there. At this point, you want to check the sides to make sure that the paint has gone over the edge of the canvas. You don't want any blank spots on the canvas edge. And tapping on the paint will help draw it over the edge, and you'll end up with that beautiful pattern continuing over the side of the canvas. Now I'm using a torch to blow out the bubbles and to encourage the development of cells. These are some of the paints that I use. Typically, I will use Liquitex and Amsterdam because they're available to me and they are quality paints. Now here's a close-up. This reminds me of some type of turquoise inlay burled wood or an agate mineral, but I think the colors are just beautiful together. What do you see when you see this? Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any questions, please ask in the comments below and I will absolutely respond.